NAIA has been a network for African American insurance professionals for several decades, and African American insurance professionals in Florida have been a part of NAIA for a number of years. A few years ago, now maybe about 3 years ago, a number of us across the state got together to charter a chapter in Florida. We were members of NAIA, we were active in NAIA, but one of the things that stood out to me when I joined NAIA was that there wasn't a chapter in Florida. And we all know as Floridians that Florida is definitely a hub of risk and insurance. And so it was important for us to have a voice, for Floridians to be at the table as a part of this extraordinary network. And so we chartered a chapter 3 years ago. We are a statewide chapter, which is a little different for NAIA, which means that we have members from the North Florida area through South Florida. And so we're excited about that. Again, the insurance industry and environment in Florida is unique. And so it's been very beneficial for us to engage across the state and to have people that we can reach no matter where we go in Florida. And so it's been an exciting journey, and we look forward to expanding and being more impactful in our work in Florida.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan Lasaith. I am the NAIA Florida Communications and PR Chair. I am so happy to have you all listening and joining with us. I am going to ask for a favor from you all. I'm going to ask that you all definitely like this video or like this live discussion. And I also want you to share this with a friend. So if you can, please go out there and share it with a friend. Tell them that, you know, we are having a great conversation. We have some great folks that are going to be chiming in. And I want to make sure that you're inviting people to have, I guess you would say, lunch with us, right? So it's around lunchtime now. So if you haven't eaten your lunch or you're currently eating your lunch, go ahead and grab it and come on and eat with us and have this conversation with us. So like and also be engaging, comment and share as well. So again, my name is Jonathan Lasaith. I am the moderator for this event. I have two distinguished gentlemen here with us. We have Mr. Tillman here, Mr. Gerald Tillman, and then we also have Mr. Franklin Jeffries. I am going to turn it over to Mr. Tillman so he can talk more about himself and introduce himself to us. And then also we're going to follow up with that with Mr. Jeffries. All right, Mr. Tillman, hello. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing terrific. It is absolutely my Florida community and my Florida family. Around 40 years ago, actually, and actually own my own agency. I'm an independent agent, Gerald Tillman Insurance Agency, and I'm the founder of this great organization, African American Insurance Association. That's just about me. I don't know how much I can go on and on and on, but I entered the insurance business real quick. Entered the insurance business by accident, actually. I had no intentions of going to the insurance business, and actually, my football coach at the time mentioned the insurance industry. I said, I told the coach, Coach, I didn't go to school 4 years to be in the insurance business. I'm not interested. All right, but he said, just take a minute, listen to the person. The rest is history.
Excellent. Yeah, I think a lot of us have done that as well. A lot of people that I talk to, they tell me all the time, I didn't plan to go into this industry. I just kind of like dropped in here. So definitely great. Mr. Jeffries, again, thank you, Mr. Tillman, for being a part. Mr. Jeffries, if you can, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Very good. I'm Franklin Jeffries. I'm a retiree from insurance. I've tried to be the best little tree I can in the industry. My experience is very similar. Not only were there no plans to be in the industry, but I had no idea the industry even existed other than automobile insurance and home insurance. And as a child growing up, only familiar with the fact that a debit agent would come by to take payments for life insurance policies. So my experience in the insurance industry was, hey, I had no idea it existed. And I also stumbled into it. In fact, I was placed with an insurance company by way of a headhunter company. It wasn't like I went to an insurance company and says, I want to work for you. I was, in fact, sought out and worked with a headhunting company and was placed with an insurance company. That was some 30 plus years ago until recently when I retired. Now, my experience in insurance has been sort of broad and sort of wide, and it's been very rewarding. I currently reside in South Carolina, and home is South Carolina, where I was born, and for a portion of my life raised here. My wife is a North Carolinian, and we're happy with where we are.
Great, great. Yeah, I had the esteemed pleasure of working with Mr. Jeffries. You did a phenomenal job for me in my agency and helping my agency to get to where it went right before selling my agency. So definitely thank both of you gentlemen for being on board in this discussion today. I want to make sure I'm inviting everyone. As you can see, we are going to be flashing over some comments here that you may interact with us. So again, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, please make sure that you are commenting and also inviting other folks into this discussion. So we're going to jump right into this. We don't have much time. I know everyone wants to get back to their day and they're kind of busy. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to jump right into the first question. And that first question is basically going to be, how has the industry shifted for African-American insurance professionals from the time you entered the industry to now? And I'm going to pose that question first to you, Mr. Tillman. If you can't answer that question, I have it on the screen too as well, so you can refer back to it.
Really, I really think there is a more diversity conscious in the industry. I really feel in my heart that this country is changing for the better, slowly but surely. And, when I came into the business, redlining was a key issue. Mm-hmm. The redlining issue brought NAIA in the forefront because was it really happening in our country or not, that pertaining to corporate insurance America. So I think the industry, I really feel that NAIA, which is 25 years in existence, has really made an impact on the diversity consciousness in America today. With all the D&O focus groups and more of a consciousness in terms of diversity world. We need to put more emphasis on the independent agency system. There need to be more that same emphasis of diversity on putting our brothers and sisters in business for themselves as agents, and that's the next challenge for NAIA. Okay. I think we've done a great job in promoting and putting emphasis on diversity and inclusion in corporate insurance America. We need to put that same emphasis in developing business ownership of independent agencies across this country. And that's the next challenge for NAIA.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm glad you hit on that. And that's, for me in my role and what I do, I am, when I work for Quantum, and that's one thing I do is helping to bring in African Americans into this insurance agency experience from the independent side. You know, how do we get more ownership? How do we get more? So I'm glad you hit on that. And someone asked me this question a while ago, and I hope that we can dive into that a little bit. But if not, maybe it'll be a part 2 conversation, because that's definitely important. That's definitely important. Mr. Jeffries, how has the industry shifted for you, as you can see from the African American insurance standpoint?
I tend to take a broad view of the question itself, because if you are in the industry, whether you're African American or Asian or whatever else, when the industry itself shifts, it's going to cause a shift of the sand under your feet also. Since I entered the industry, the biggest changes that have occurred in the industry that have impacted the stability of the industry is that industry is upsizing and downsizing, is decentralizing from where it once was a central type operation, and a lot of work from home experience going on for all workers. Now, these are the kind of changes that are not only affecting the insurance industry, it's affecting all of corporate America. We talk about the insurance because we're in the insurance, and for many years, the insurance industry was a stable place for workers to be. And that stability has been impacted by all these various kinds of changes going on in corporate America. And as those changes affect corporate America, it affects African Americans. Now, this kind of shift also makes the marketplace for professionals, African Americans, much more competitive, because as the ground under our feet as insurance professionals become more unstable, then of course it becomes more competitive for the remaining positions that are out there. And to meet this competitive type of environment, African Americans have got to prepare more and stay prepared. The number and the types of insurance carriers that are out there now have become more numerous and more specialized since I first entered into discipline. Now, advertising has made previously unknown carriers much more of a known commodity. Different companies are out there now. We have no idea they were even out there when I started. There were the Allstates, there were the Nationwides, there were the State Farms, but the various carriers that exist there now weren't even thought of way back when I started. Now, this kind of action of the various carriers being more known has a direct correlation to the shift in the job market. The market used to be out there, was mostly industrial. And where it wasn't industrial, there were some service companies out there. But as the market has shifted, this occupational shift from manufacturing to service and tech companies has had the kind of impact on insurance that has flooded the insurance market, where people are saying, hey, that's a good occupation. It's a service industry. We don't have as much in industry going on. I'm looking for a safe environment to work in. So it does impact employment stability. Those are the kinds of things that have happened. Just a few more things here, real quick, if I can. The managing and the mapping of insurance functions has become a heck of a lot more technical, with multiple systems and integrations of both internal and external systems occurring. When I began, the handling of insurance was mostly manual and mostly paper. But now you've got systems involved, and people have to be a lot more dexterous when it comes to managing different systems. Real quick, so we can get out of this question, the type of hiring practices that are occurring now in insurance that impacts African Americans, at one time you applied in person.
Right.
Now you apply online. Now that has the impact of putting you in a situation where you have a foot up if the paper reads well. An environment before, when you went in and you applied, and they saw your face and they heard you speak, that would have a very subtle impact on what was occurring with you in terms of the interview, in terms of your reaching the second level for employment opportunity. But now, more and more, they're going through a personnel department versus going through a hiring manager initially. And I think that has the impact of working positively. Now, a final point to make, as more African Americans have entered the insurance field, they've had an opportunity now, more so than before, to branch out in different areas that are more suited to their own talents and aspirations. Before, I think that field was flooded more with African Americans in the service fields and not the highly technical areas like sales, like claims, like systems. But those areas now are experiencing more persons in those areas. But I think the key thing is this, is insurance has always existed, but it's been kind of silent out there. But as the employment fields has shifted from industrial to service and technical, the insurance has had to step up, or has stepped up as being a desirable area to be in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You hit on a lot of things, and the big, and both of you hit on the same when we're in reference to on the corporate side. The corporate side, we have seen where there has been somewhat of a shift in terms of opportunities for African Americans in the industry. Regardless of how you got in, there has definitely been a shift in terms of how do we get, into the door. I know we still have more opportunities in terms of ownership, right? From the independent agent side, especially. How do we combat that? How do we bring, ownership into our communities and making sure that we have, I had a conversation with someone a while ago and said, it used to be where the African-American insurance agent in that community was not just an agent. They were more like a trusted advisor. If you needed to know who a good plumber was, you knew, go to the agency. They would probably have a referral list of some sort. So as we look at, that, and I want to pivot to our next question is how do we, there is a tremendous lack of African American insurance professionals in C-suites, senior level positions, as well as independent agency ownership. So we can throw that in there as well. How do we bridge that gap? How do we, what are some of your suggestions or ideas? And I'm throwing this question to you first, Mr. Tillman. How do we bridge that gap to where we have an opportunity to really see at those levels and not just come in entry level and have to work our way up? How can we bridge that gap? And Mr. Tillman, we may have somewhat of a delay from you. I can't really hear you yet.
Can I take first shot at that question then?
Yeah. Mr. Tillman, I think it may be your connection, but we're going to, don't go anywhere. I want to make sure I hear from you. But Mr. Jeffries, yes, you can go first.
Well, first and foremost, I think we've got to recognize this about the insurance industry. It is not the kind of industry that is that has a lot of propaganda out there about going into an insurance field. Mr. Tillman indicated, and so did I, and we're both long-term professionals in the field, that we just kind of stumbled into it. No one actually said to us when we were in elementary school or in high school, get involved in the insurance industry. So it is a quiet field. It's an unpublished kind of field, and you end up stumbling into it. And no one's going to.
I think we do it. We do it as a community. And
go ahead, Mr. Jeffries.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It was a delay. You can go ahead.
Oh, and as a result, when you talk about,
In fact,
but when you talk about how do we get folks into the C-suite
okay,
into,
through
into executive levels, you got to be mindful that in no discipline, in no corporate area, are you going to walk right off the streets and walk into the C-suites or the executive levels. We are talking about African Americans having to do in terms of preparing from an educational standpoint, undergo the rigors of a training, and most importantly, and this I think is key, and always impacts African American upward mobility, is how mobile are you to go to different areas. If you look down the roads that have to be traveled, it is pretty clear for a lot of professionals that where they started, where they end up in a C-suite, isn't where they have started in terms of on the road to get there. They have lived in various other states and various other communities, and our thinking has to be geared toward how much of my lifestyle and how much of my family lifestyle am I willing to put out there in the field for me to reach where it is I want to go. I think that's one key to reaching the C-suites and the executive levels. The other thing that I mentioned is this, and I think it's key to getting there. Since you're not going to walk off the streets and walk into an executive level position or even know about starting agencies without someone tapping you on the shoulder, we reach our aspiring African Americans at an early age when they are grappling with the issues of occupation and how they're going to spend their lives earning livings, and say, have you considered insurance? Because if you go out there right now to any young African American, and now this is getting to the question of what do we do as older professionals, but younger professionals too, is that we have to talk in terms of insurance being a profession out there that is something other than going and getting car insurance, or God forbid, a lot of African Americans don't even get life insurance. And doing the training at early levels in the communities and in churches, as an example of try insurance. It's not just about technical school, so that's good. It's not just about being education professionals, because we see a lot of that in the Black community. And it's not about saying, well, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer. Insurance has got to be pushed as being a high-level profession to be involved in, for us to get African Americans in the C-suites and the executive level positions, because you're not going to just walk off the street with a high school education or not even with just a college education and get to those levels.
Absolutely. It's definitely, we definitely have to make sure that we're doing our due diligence in terms of getting prepared for those seats, right? We have to get prepared for those seats. It's not just we're going to walk in off the street, and just get this. We have to be prepared for sure. Mr. Tillman, I'm going to bring you back up. And Mr. Jeffries, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop you down and add Mr. Tillman up. And then when we go to the next question, I'll bring you back up. Okay? All right. All right, Mr. Tillman, if you can, same question. What do you believe is the responsibility, with almost every carrier, with the tremendous lack of African Americans in C-suites, how do we transition? How do we get us in those seats? How do we put us in those seats? And you're muted, Mr. Tillman, as well. So, Mr. Tillman, you're still muted on your end. It's still showing there, and I know that we have like a lag from what you have.
Am I coming in? Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Is there much of a? Let me see if there's going to be a lag on it.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Okay. What we'll do is we're going to come back to you, Mr. Tillman, because I think we still have a lag.
All right. Okay. All right. Very good. Can you hear me now? All right. So, what we have done with NIA, with our 17 chapters across the country, we have many corporate professionals and independent agents who are going into the schools, especially colleges. And we're talking about the many different types of career opportunities in the insurance industry. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what we're doing with the National African American Insurance Association, many of our chapters are committed to going into. Okay. All right.
All right, so we're gonna keep checking along. What we're going to do is we're having some some technical difficulties. So in efforts to make sure that we maximize our opportunity here, because we're kind of like running out of time a little bit, and I'm bringing you back up, Mr. Tillman. We're kind of running out of time a little bit, so I want to make sure that I think these are important questions that we need to hit. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask one more final question. I'm going to pivot that to Mr. Jeffries. And what we're going to do is, Mr. Tillman, we're going to meet on a one-on-one time frame, and we're going to come back and tackle these questions. So we're going to do a one-on-one to tackle these questions, because I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear your feedback and your answers on these questions, because I think it's vital for everyone to hear it. So I'm going to pivot that last question to you, Mr. Jeffries, and then we will come back. We will end. And again, we're going to do a part 2. I'll work with your schedule, Mr. Tillman, to make sure that we have a one-on-one discussion to hit these questions with you, okay? So, Mr. Jeffries, what do you believe is responsibility now in terms of like a mentorship environment for older African Americans to really tap into some of the younger African Americans, and how do we channel it?
Mr. Tillman's comment about the association being involved in the schools and talking about insurance as a profession. One of the things that I would like it to be known as this is that any discipline that you start out in can always contribute to a successful insurance career, because insurance is a multiple kind of discipline. So that's all good. The sooner we reach African Americans in terms of advising and giving them input about an insurance career, it's always better. Now, what do I believe the responsibility of the older African American to the younger? It's the same today as it was in the past, as it will be in the future. To give younger professionals sound and reasoned advice when it's asked. And the responsibility of the younger professional is that they seek, gather together, and also put guidance into play when they are given sound guidance. I mean, that's a biblical principle, but it's a principle that unless it's put into play by our younger professionals, it's not going to work. Those of us who know the way can instruct on the way, but unless they're willing to follow it and see it as being sound discipline, then it's not going to work. It's simply mentorship. And mentorship can occur anywhere at any time, be it the school, be it church, playgrounds, shopping malls, whatever else. Another important thing that we do or must do as seasoned professionals is we got to talk about preparedness. That's a big key to success, preparedness. Mm-hmm. No one, as I mentioned before, has become a doctor when they decide at the last minute, oh, I think I'll be a doctor, or I think I'll be a lawyer. we talk about preparedness in the insurance industry, and we plant those seeds early on. The sooner we plant those seeds and the sooner we nurture those seeds about them recognizing, fully recognizing that insurance is a profession. It's not just something to do. It is, in fact, a profession, an honorable profession, but it's been quiet in the background for so many years. But if we talk about preparedness today, and that preparedness begins when students are grappling with what am I going to do with my life, because it's more than just law or medicine. It's more than just getting involved in business or technical school or military service. It's saying because insurance is that kind of discipline that touches every aspect of our lives, and it's an aspect of our lives that is not as well known or as well publicized as all the other disciplines. People know about doctors, they know about lawyers, they know about joining the military service. You can still be involved in these things and still be an insurance professional, and that's a good thing about being insurance. So one, we got to talk preparedness, we got to mentor, and we got to better explain what the insurance industry is.
Excellent. I agree. As much exposure as we can to get out there. One of the things I know that we are doing with NIA is we're doing an invest. And like you said, we need exposure. We need to make sure that we're getting the word out that there are opportunities, and there are plenty of opportunities. I mean, nowadays, there are social media managers. And if you find younger people that love to be on social media, on Facebook, that there's so many different opportunities that are out there that we can really tap into. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. If you would like to become a member of NIA Florida, you can visit our website, niaflorida.org. There are a lot of things that we have going on. We're partnering with Junior Achievement, partnering with Invest. We are doing everything that we can, not just to build up the insurance organization, but to also build up our community that is around us. So definitely, if you want to learn more, you can definitely contact us. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, as well as on YouTube. We have a lot of viewers right now that are on YouTube. So make sure that you hit the bell and subscribe and get all the notifications for all the events that we will have coming up. So again, thank you, gentlemen. Again, this is going to be another part. We're going to sit down one-on-one with Mr. Tillman. I want to hear his responses to these questions because I think he has a lot of valuable feedback on this. So again, thank you both for being a part. Thank you for everyone who has tuned in. We've gotten a lot of comments. I haven't thrown them on the screen because I've been listening. I've been trying to make sure I'm a part of this and hearing what's going on. But thank you so much for everyone that's being on here. So, hey, thank you guys. And we will talk very, very soon.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you for the opportunity. Bye-bye.